Look at him, eating whatever he wants, never gaining a pound, while I'm stuck with the boring special and can't lose an ounce.
How's your lunch, man?
Amazing. Yours?
So good.
Oh, I'm so happy for you.
Cool, buddy.
Weight loss isn't fair, but Mochi Health is. The affordable GLP-1 source that can fix your frustration with food.
So, same time next week?
No!
Definitely.
And your friends. Learn more at joinmochi.com. Mochi members have access to licensed physicians and nutritionists. Results may vary.
You know that thing where you get an amazing pair of shoes at a really great price and want to tell everyone about it? Yeah, so do we. Here at Designer Shoe Warehouse, we'll give you something to brag about. Like the latest styles from brands you love, or the trends everyone's obsessing over, or shoes that make you feel like, well, you. So go ahead, show off a little. Find shoes that get you at prices that get your budget. Head to your DSW store or DSW.com today. DSW. Let us surprise you.
Voices for Justice is a podcast that uses adult language and discusses sensitive and potentially triggering topics, including violence, abuse, and murder. This podcast may not be appropriate for younger audiences. All parties are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Some names have been changed or omitted per their request or for safety purposes. Listener discretion is advised. My name is Sarah Turney, and this is Voices for Justice. Before we get started, I need to insert an extra disclaimer here. This episode will also be discussing the topic of suicide. If you or someone you know struggles with suicidal thoughts, please call the National Suicide Prevention Line at 1-800-273-8255 or visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org for help. Last time on Voices for Justice, we discussed a lot, including a videotape our cousin David found depicting Alissa and another underage female naked from the waist up. And we learned that my Uncle James recalls hearing about a second tape in which Alissa was sexually abused by our father and an unknown adult female. We discussed the likelihood that there were more hidden surveillance devices in our home than I was ever aware of. And we dived deep into an incident in which our father drove Alissa to an isolated desert area and attempted to sexually assault her. And then we examined his very bizarre reactions to this incident and read over many different stories he told about that day. This is part 3 of episode 4, 3,000 Days. In this final part of the episode, we are going to focus on the year leading up to Alissa's disappearance. Alissa would eventually come home from living with our brothers for the summer, but like our father stated in his letter to her, he made no promises about things changing when she came home. And in fact, his behavior became even more overbearing, obnoxious, and in my opinion, with intention to inflict self-doubt in Alissa and encourage her dependence on our father. One of the ways he did this was by isolating Alissa from her friends and family. In the last episode, we met Alissa's friend Charity, and as Alissa and Charity's friendship grew, so did our father's disapproval of it. And although Alissa and Charity both denied having a sexual relationship together, he stopped letting Alissa and Charity see each other over this concern. Charity admits that they didn't think much of it, as they were sure to see each other at school anyway. But our father didn't tell Alissa that she wouldn't be returning to Barry Goldwater High School with Charity for her junior year. But instead, he enrolled her at Paradise Valley High School for what would be her last year of school. This is when Alissa met her new friend and our new witness, Jessica. Here's Jessica talking about what she remembers about this time and how she saw red flags from the moment she set foot in our home.
Alissa and I had a ceramics class together, and we always wore the same shirts. Like, it just worked out that I would walk in the class every day, and at first I was like, this fucking bitch. I'm like, every fucking day we're wearing the same damn shirt.
Yeah.
And I really don't even know how it started, but she was just so nice. And when we started talking, there was no me being mean to her, and I was mean to everybody. I just couldn't be mean to her.
Yeah.
So she just just became my friend so quickly. I was like, you should come hang out, because my best friend's house was party house, so we could do whatever we wanted.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, my dad will want to meet everybody, and he doesn't like me to go anywhere without him. She's like, but you can come to my house. And so I go out to the truck with them, and he's like, well, I want to meet your parents. And I'm like, well, my parents won't be home until like 5. And he's like, okay, well, as long as they don't mind you coming, you can come hang out with us, and then I'll take you home and we'll talk to them. And so we get to your house, and I can see the little red light in the vent in the living room. And I was like, is that fucking real? Is that a camera? She's like, yeah, he records everything. And I'm like, that's fucking creepy.
So immediately. So you saw the signs like day one coming to our house.
Immediate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then as we got closer and we talked more, she would just tell me all the strange things that he did. I really, really, really want to say that he had a camera in the vent in her room. Like, so unsettling, because we were laying in her bed playing with her ferrets, and I was like, is there a camera in there? And she's like, probably. It's all the time. Because we were talking about doing ecstasy. Sure. And we were trying to make a plan to do it. Poor like sitting in the corner, whispering about it, and like just trying to read each other's lips as we're making a plan for this because of that. And she wasn't sure if it was in there, because I felt like there was something in there, but you couldn't quite tell. And sometimes you can see like a little blinking light or something. Like in the living room, there was a blinking light. And that's why I was like, you just walk in and it's visible. Yeah. And there were cameras outside. I do remember that. Which isn't that weird.
No.
I feel like maybe there was uncertainty if there was just like something recording us under the bed, like our voices, or somewhere in the bedroom versus in the vent. But she was aware that there was some kind of surveillance in her bedroom, which is really, really disgusting. I think that's when the stories of him making her truly uncomfortable started to come out, because I was like, that's fucking sick. Yeah. Your stepdad has an unhealthy obsession with you.
You said that.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Well, I'm sure I didn't say it like that. I'm sure I was like, that's creepy. It's gross.
Yeah.
Does he want to fuck you? And she was like, yeah.
But yeah, so you guys start getting close. And you have mentioned, at one point you felt like my dad was trying to separate you guys.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sure it had something to do with my... Are you recording us? I think it was very apparent that I had a lot more freedom than she did. So he saw me as a bad influence, which I definitely would have been a bad influence because I spent all my time at a party house. There was always alcohol, and there was always weed, and probably any other drug you could find, we could have, or you could dream of, we could have found.
Yeah. But it sounds like, the way you describe growing up is like exactly how I grew up. Like always at a party house, like whatever. Like I would have been a bad influence on my sister in his eyes too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so what did he do to like actively keep you apart, or do you remember?
Just anytime she wanted to hang out, he was like, no. He wouldn't let me come over anymore. And no.
I remember him saying that you were a bad influence because he thought you were gay and turning Alissa gay, which is what he said with Charity too. Like his biggest fear was like Alissa becoming a lesbian, and
she would have done it just to spite him. She would have let him believe that just to spite him.
In addition to our father isolating Alissa from Charity and Jessica, he began isolating Alissa from her childhood friends too. Growing up, Alissa had a lot of friends, but Katie was a constant in our lives. She was there through it all. They babysat together, wore similar clothes, and even got professional pictures taken together. So allow me to introduce you to our next witness, Katie.
I do not ever remember her saying anything good about your dad, ever. So he was incredibly controlling. And when I was that age, I chalked it up to like, again, him losing his wife and really trying to grasp. And I know that Alissa was not always the easiest kid to deal with. So him trying to like really grasp and hold onto her for as long as he could. And so there's a part of that you can kind of empathize with. But then again, I didn't know about all of the surveillance that was happening in the house. And I think I did know there was a camera outside the front door. But that wasn't weird. Cameras in the vents is weird. I don't remember, again, it was so long ago, so like specific accounts of physical violence, but I know that he had grabbed her and shaken her and hit her, and I know that those things happen. And yeah, I always thought of him as a very angry person, which is one of the reasons that I didn't like going over there a lot.
Yeah. So, I mean, did you see an escalation of behavior and escalation of him being controlling as she got older?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay. That's one of the things I'm trying to investigate is I have this timeline, and I feel like his actions do escalate. He gets more crazy and more paranoid about her telling people things, and it's this whole buildup.
I think it had a lot to do with the fact that she was getting to a point where she was starting to get interested in guys, because that was one of the biggest problems that he had was boys. And I think for whatever reason, that was the biggest issue. I kind of think he was very against her smoking pot or drinking or whatever, but I kind of think that it all kind of tied back to the fact that she could be impaired and have sex with a guy. It all kind of seemed to all come back to that. He just got very, very, very controlling. And besides the fact that she smoked pot, there was nothing that she did that was weird for a teenager to do.
In addition to isolating Alissa from friends and family, our father was constantly putting her down. And this was specific to Alissa. Our father always talked about my future and how I could do anything I put my mind to. I was built up from a very young age to believe I was smart and capable. And I'd bet anything if you asked any of our brothers, they would tell you the same thing about their childhood. But I can't recall a single similar conversation between Alissa and our father. He was constantly telling her that she had a learning disability, despite Alissa actually getting rather average grades. And he shared this belief with her schools in a very forceful way. The police records include dozens of communications, calls, emails, letters, and even lawsuits over Alissa getting special treatment for the disability our father insisted she had. He is also quoted as telling Alissa's school that she was dumber than a rock and that she had a mild form of retardation. But what is not in the records is any documentation to prove that Alissa was even tested for a learning disability. Which is why I imagine her schools were so hesitant to accommodate what our father described as a severe disability. But our father's fight with the school district would get so bad that they actually granted his request to put Alissa in special education classes. But being put in this program required Alissa to switch from her normal school bus to the special needs school bus to be driven to and from school every day. So she began ditching and refusing to take the bus. And our father only later used this as an example of how out of control she was. But it wasn't just that our father was advocating for special attention in school. He went to extreme measures to make Alissa feel as though she could not operate in society without special accommodations. And according to our father, when Alissa would bring up complaints about being watched too much or feeling smothered, he told her, quote, "Honey, it's for your own safety until you learn that you are easily manipulated." And Katie remembers this.
She was not stupid, which is something that your dad seems to like to try to make it seem like. I mean, her having ADHD is not, it's not a debilitating disorder to the point that you cannot live on your own, or, you know what I mean? And that's kind of what he seemed to make it out. He would always talk about it. Like she was so slow. She, would call her names about her intelligence level, and I don't know. That was not her. She was actually very smart, and although you don't have the most street smarts when you're a teenager, she could tell when things were not right.
Yeah, no, I agree that she wasn't an idiot at all, but my dad did say those things. In fact, I just read Interview with the Police, which of course, hung out in the neighborhood. And he said that my dad said, like an exact quote was, "What are you, fucking retarded? You can't read a newspaper?"
Yeah, that's not surprising. I was trying not to say that word to be politically correct, but that I've definitely heard him call her that before. So I tried to not be there as much as possible. I tried to not be around your dad as much as possible because I'm an empath, so I pick up on a lot, and when you're that young, you don't know what that is, and you don't know coping skills for that. So I would just pull in all of this crazy, these crazy feelings, and then just feel exhausted when I left. So anytime we hung out, I would try to get us to hang out somewhere else.
A lot of Alyssa's friends felt that way, especially as they got older. My friends didn't. All my friends' interviews are your dad was a dad to me, your dad was an uncle to me, he was so good to me. And then all of Alyssa's friends were I was scared to go over there, I didn't want to, it was weird.
That's so interesting.
So when I started hearing that Alissa wasn't being treated well, or, that people were afraid to come to our house, I was like, what? It didn't register for me.
Because you had a completely different experience.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I can see that very clearly now. But back then I wasn't so sure. I was just Alyssa's just wants to be crazy and be away from the house. And that wasn't it at all.
Yeah.
It's important to point out that I was not treated like Alissa was. As we've gone over in some of our father's writings, my father seemed to see me in a completely different light than he did Alissa. I was not monitored or watched over. I never signed a single contract, and although I wasn't getting into much trouble yet, I got away with everything and essentially did whatever I wanted. Throughout my childhood, our father would constantly threaten to run away from his kids or threaten to give us away to relatives. He would say we didn't love him and that he was going to go live in a cave someday. And while Alissa shrugged it off, and I imagine probably even hoped that he would, I had a very different reaction. I took this as a serious threat. I was certain that I would come home from school one day and he just wouldn't be there. It was to the point where if I forgot to give him a hug and a kiss on the cheek before I left the house, my stomach would turn to knots, and all I could think about was that was surely going to be the last time I saw him, the one time I forgot to say goodbye. And since our father didn't work due to being on disability, he was home all day. So I wanted to spend as much time with him as I could before the inevitability of him running away. And starting in about 4th grade, I started staying home from school to spend time with him. Quickly, I began routinely missing an average of 3 days of school a week. At first, I would make myself stay up all night, crying to my father at dawn about how I hadn't been able to sleep and how I would never make it through the school day. I would feign illnesses and bouts of sadness left and right. At one point, I even drew chickenpox on myself begging for a week off of school. And another time, I lied about when I had spring break and extended my time off of school from 1 week to 2 weeks. But somewhere along the way, he just gave up. He began coming into my room each morning asking if I even wanted to go to school that day. And of course, as a child who's able to dictate their own school schedule, I opted out most of the time. In addition to going to school when I wanted, I also didn't have the same rules for which friends I was allowed to hang out with. While my father was gravely concerned about Alissa being with Charity's family, convinced they were smoking pot, I was free to go wherever I pleased, whenever I pleased. In fact, one of my best friend's parents were physically abusive and had a heavy meth addiction that our father was well aware of. I would come home with stories about her mother locking her stepfather out of their home, how he rammed his truck into the garage out of anger, or how he bashed in the door again. And our father was not fazed. Not once was I told I could not be at that home or with that friend. But as a child, I didn't see this as a freedom. I saw this as our father genuinely not caring for me, and it made me cling to him even more and would eventually cause me to act out a lot. I didn't understand why he cared so much about Alyssa's actions and so little about mine. And of course, this caused a lot of problems between me and Alissa. She was jealous of the freedoms I had, and I was jealous of what I thought were loving actions taken by our father to protect her. But now, I'm certain he didn't love either one of us. I was a burden better left alone, and Alissa was, in his words, a, quote, walking time bomb. Our father kept me quiet and happy with freedom, and he kept Alissa quiet and oppressed with extreme control. He always said that he treated his children according to their needs, but it's clear that what he really did was manipulate us based on our personalities. And although this was a large point of contention between me and Alissa, as we were getting older, this contention actually began to fade. We were fighting less and finding more and more in common with each other. For me, a fortunate upside to the tight grip our father was holding on Alissa was that at this time, she was home a lot more than she had been in the past. And at this point, I was almost 12 years old and a little more interested in what Alissa was into, and we actually hung out more than ever before. Instead of fighting over what to watch on TV, we got cable for the first time in our lives, and we would spend hours together binging MTV, making up for the decade that we never had it. We talked about what bikinis we would wear at MTV's spring break when we went to college, how cute Johnny Knoxville was, and she made fun of me for still loving Britney Spears. She braided my hair and painted my nails as we watched for hours on end. She even started letting me take the bus with her and her friends to the mall. It was maybe only a few months, but those months hold some of my most treasured memories of me and Alissa. We were no longer at war with each other over attention or extreme differences in activities. I finally felt like I was old enough to be let in on a little bit of her world, and I loved every moment of it. I didn't realize how much Alissa really cared for me, or all that she was doing for me while she was going through all of this. But her friends did, and despite everything, Alissa still found happiness in her life. Here's how Charity remembers it.
The thing with Alissa is I just don't think I've ever really met someone like her. You know, I really don't. She really has stuck with me all this time. She was just so kind and so loving. And, you know, one of the most beautiful but tragic things about her was that she was kind of broken inside, you know, just totally lost in terms of, you know, home life and in terms of just trying to find herself in the world, just like any other teenager. And she still maintained this, you know, optimistic attitude about life, you know, and it's amazing to me looking back on it, how she held everything together.
Yeah.
It really just amazes me.
Me too. Well, and I didn't realize how much she was really doing back then. Because when you're a kid, I don't see her cleaning the countertops or, you know, making sure that I have clean clothes.
Right.
And she might say, like, a mean remark about my hair or what I was wearing, but she was probably just trying to make sure I didn't look like an idiot going out of the house.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize all that. And that's, like, one of the things I feel most guilty about. Like, it's how she protected me and how she cared for me and how I was totally oblivious and ungrateful and a jerk of a sister, which again, it's kid stuff, but it makes me feel bad because I didn't realize. And I wish I could have said thank you, you know?
Yeah. I don't think, you know, that she needed that from you. I don't think she needed for you to acknowledge, you know, that she was doing those things for you. And I think that just, you know, knowing that you had what you needed would be enough for her.
Oh,
you know,
like a mom.
Yeah, exactly like a mom.
Oh, that's what's hard.
Exactly like a mom. So yeah, I mean, I get that you guys had your typical sibling relationship, just like any siblings would. But yeah, there definitely was a mothering aspect there. And I witnessed it all the time. You know, in one breath, she would be like, Sarah is so stupid because, you know, she won't clean or whatever. And in the next breath, she would be talking about, you know, ways that she wanted to make sure that you were taken care of and, you know, just being completely motherly of you, worried for you, concerned for you. And even at times would, tell funny stories that, show that she just really, truly did love you. She loved all of her siblings.
Yeah.
She talked about you guys all a lot. And it was always, with a smile brimming from ear to ear and with just so much pride.
And although Jessica and Charity have never met or discussed Alissa, Jessica remembers it the same way.
But there's so many people that knew her for a short amount of time that have these vivid memories of her and she's left this lasting impression on them.
Yeah, because especially now thinking about it, she just had this like happiness about her that radiated from her. And I was so jealous of her, and I didn't realize that at the time.
Yeah.
Because her life was dysfunctional too, and she openly talked about it, and she kind of talked about it like it was nothing, like it was just the way that it was. Him recording the phone conversations, and obviously not the little bits of abuse. She was definitely hurt by those things, but him recording her phone or like showing up at Jack in the Box and recording her was just like normal. It was just the way she was parented. So
yeah,
it wasn't a big deal to her.
This episode of Voices for Justice is sponsored by Chewy. If you have pets, you probably know about Chewy, and you also know that when they say that they have everything you need to keep your pet happy and healthy, they're not messing around. To keep them happy, Chewy has over 100,000 products from all the brands my pets love at prices I love. To keep them healthy, Chewy offers pet prescriptions, pet insurance, telehealth vet visits, and they're even rolling out vet clinics across the country. I've been shopping with them for a very long time. And in addition to the auto ship feature that gets the dog's food to them every single month, I also love to experiment with different treats. But I'm a bit picky. For me, it has to be high quality with simple ingredients. I recently picked up treats from Shepherd Boy Farms that are 100% just chicken breast. Popcorn and Heber are already obsessed. Chewy has everything you need to keep your pet happy and healthy. And right now, you can save $20 on your first order and get free shipping by going to chewpanions.chewy.com/SarahETurney. That's chewpanions.chewy.com/SarahETurney to save $20 on your first order with free shipping. chewpanions.chewy.com/SarahETurney. Minimum purchase required. New customers only. Terms and conditions apply. See site for complete details. This episode of Voices for Justice is brought to you by Quince. I've been trying to be more intentional about what I wear each day. I'm leaning into pieces that feel effortless, comfortable, and still put together. And Quince has been my go-to. The fabrics feel elevated, the fits are flattering, and everything just works without overthinking it. They use premium materials like 100% European linen, organic cotton, and ultra-soft denim. And the best part? Everything is priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. They work directly with ethical factories and cut out the middlemen, so you're paying for quality and craftsmanship, not brand markup. I recently just ordered their tiered linen dress, of course in black. I wanted to pair it with one of my favorite pairs of brown wedges. The problem was, I didn't have a brown purse. So I got that from Quince too. It's one of my favorite outfits. It's easy, effortless, and feels amazing, especially as we're getting a little bit warmer here in Phoenix. Refresh your everyday with luxury you'll actually use. Head to quince.com/justice for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/justice for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/justice. We have discussed how a lot of people viewed Alissa, but I want to take a moment and highlight something I found in the police reports. There are so few items that we have that are authored by Alissa, but they found an essay written by her and about her. It reads, "I have many streaks of shades of color of hair, from blonde to dark brown. My eyes are brown. I am about 5'4" and weigh about 115 pounds. I like to go to the mall at Metro Center. In the mall, my favorite store is Hot Topic. I love to hang out with my best friends, Katie and Stacy. I like boys. My favorite movies are Wizard of Oz, Half-Baked, Biodome, Empire Records, and Toy Story. I listen to heavy metal bands like Deftones, Korn, Marilyn Manson, Limp Bizkit, Tool, Pantera, Metallica, 9 Inch Nails, and Green Day. I sit in my room and listen to music or talk on the phone all day long. School is okay. I like to swim. My life is school, the phone, and babysitting. I love kids. I want to have a lot of them. I like to shop till I drop or make my dad drop. I like to go paintballing. I like my pants. I like candles. I have a lot of friends. I have very few enemies. But then, something happened that would affect Alissa in more ways than I will ever know, and understandably made her withdraw from almost everyone. There are many people who loved Alissa that are absent from this podcast for a variety of reasons. But one person that was crucial to Alissa's life, that I fully believe would be standing by my side right now in this fight, is unfortunately not here. But Alissa mentioned her in that essay. That person is Stacy. Stacy, Katie, and Alissa all grew up together, and they were always extremely close. Stacy is actually in those professional pictures with Katie and Alissa I spoke about earlier, and she is in hours of our home videos from the time she met Alissa in elementary school until the end. On September 21st, 2000, at the age of 16, Stacy committed suicide. Stacy's story is obviously a sad one, but it's not mine to tell, and out of respect for her and her family, I'm not even going to try. Stacy was so funny, beautiful, and caring, and she left a huge hole in Alissa's life, and it obviously greatly affected her. But Alissa didn't act out. She didn't rebel or go on some type of attention-seeking bender. It was actually the opposite. I think Stacy's death rattled her greatly, and it made Alissa want to make an effort to get out of a situation that was undoubtedly causing her a great deal of anguish. So the next month, in October of 2000, Alissa got a job at Jack in the Box next to her high school, worked as much as she could, and started saving her money. She made $6.30 an hour, but worked upwards of 30 hours a week after school and on weekends. And like most teenage girls, Alissa and her friends always talked about moving into an apartment together, how they would decorate it, what part of town it would be in, and what their lives would be like. So at this point, I think Alissa was really trying to focus on the future and the day she would be able to finally move out of our father's home. As our father would state several times, Alissa did discuss running away from home, but according to Charity, it wasn't in the way you might expect, but more of a plan for the future.
Did she ever talk about running away?
All the time.
Yeah?
But she'd never, she would talk about wanting to. She would fantasize about it, really. But she would never talk about it, seriously, I'm going to do this, It was always, no, I got to stick this out till I'm 18. I got to stick this out till I'm 18, which was coming quick.
Yeah, it was.
But not quick enough. Kids talk about it, in general, but she talked about it a lot. Not like I'm going to run away, but she would talk about different scenarios where she could see herself getting out of your dad's house. She talked a little bit about moving with your aunt in California as being an option. She talked a lot about potentially moving in with one of the brothers as an option. And we would lightly talk about her moving in with us, and then it would transform into, okay, well, when you're 18, we'll get a place. And
that's everybody's dream. When we're 18, we're going to get an apartment.
Yeah, right.
That's everybody's so excited for their first crappy apartment.
Yes.
Which, fair enough. I mean, that's part of being 17.
It is part of growing up. It's, but the shitty thing about it is that she didn't really get to sit and fantasize about it in a fun way. She had to fantasize about it as an escape. And that's really what talking about, running away or moving in with anybody else other than your dad was all about all the time, was just getting away.
And Alissa was focusing on the future in other ways. It was about this time that Alissa started dating a boy from her class named John. And although Alissa had a boyfriend in the past, this time was different. John was around our house a lot. He went on a family outing with us, and he even tolerated me and our father. And after reading the transcripts of phone calls and John's police interview, I think it's safe to say that they were very much in love and each other's first loves. And Alissa's friend Jessica agrees.
She loved John, and that was, but, I feel like her and John were happy, and they talked about having a future together.
But our father was not happy about this new relationship. And in a phone call to our brother, our father verbally expresses his concerns. The police report about this call reads, "This is a copy of a conversation between Mike Turney and his son, Michael Seth Turney. Conversational context heard on the tape indicates that it is from circa November 2000. The conversation starts with Michael Roy Turney complaining about one of Sarah's teachers. He calls her a, quote, fucked up bitch, and says, quote, they should shoot half them sons of bitches. They discuss this issue for some length. Michael Roy then complains about Alissa and her desire to eat Thanksgiving at her boyfriend's house. Michael Roy goes over some medical problems he's having. Then he complains about assisting Alissa after her boyfriend's car is towed. Michael Roy and Michael Seth then have an extended discussion on a range of topics. The conversation then ends on the following. This is a transcript of the conversation as I heard it. Our father begins by saying, I have a feeling if things keep going like they are with Alissa, it ain't going to be too long before she's going to be quitting school anyway. Because she's the kind of woman, she's born a natural housewife, and that's it. Now she wants to settle down. Plus, Alissa just hates my guts. I just asked her the other day, asked her why she hates my guts, and she can't even tell me. She just keeps saying the same thing. You're just different. You're crazy. You just don't think like John and I do. It's always the same thing. You don't think like John and I do. Do you think maybe he's implanted some shit in her mind? I think it's just the fact that Alissa wants to do her own thing, Mike. She wants to do her own thing. And her own thing is to smoke pot and do all the crazy-ass shit that Rhett and Barbara did when they were younger. That's just the way she is. It's the way people are like that. Whereas Sarah thinks of more lofty things. Alyssa's only got one thing. At the age of 14, Alissa was ready to make babies and be a housewife. After this comment, our father starts going on about how a lot of the women on my mother's side of the family didn't graduate from high school. And he says some pretty disparaging things about our Aunt Lynette. But what's important to note here is that our father says that Alissa hates Lynette. That'll be important to remember for the future. But let's get back on track. My father continues by saying, so it just gets harder and harder, Mike, to do some things for someone, anyone, no matter who it is, who treats me like shit. Or who lies to me, screws me over. I'm just getting old, getting cranky, losing my temperament. But that's just me. When you've been down this road, like I told James, he doesn't think Steve has another boyfriend. But I think he does. That's why about 99% of the time, why people do this kind of stuff he did. They become, disenfranchised with someone or infatuated with someone else. It sounds perfectly normal to me. People lose interest and go their own way. Anyway, I gotta get going. I gotta run all the way down there and get all those records. All right? Love you. Love you too. Although I don't normally do this, I have to point out that segue our father makes in this conversation. He begins by expressing concern over the influence Alyssa's new boyfriend is having over her and her apparent long-standing desire to be a wife and mother. And then our father begins talking about how Alissa, quote, treats him like shit. And then he actually compares this situation with his daughter to our brother being possibly cheated on by his romantic partner. I will let you decide what that means. But I think it gives us great insight into how he really saw his relationship with Alissa.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why customers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. A reminder that whatever you're going through, you don't have to go through alone. I think we all know that life is a journey. Some days feel good and others feel extremely overwhelming. Whatever's keeping you up at night, it's easy to feel like you have to figure it out all on your own. But the truth is, no one has all the answers, and no one should have to go on this journey alone. Having someone with you to listen, to understand, and support you can make all the difference. That's where BetterHelp comes in. BetterHelp therapists work according to a strict code of conduct and are fully licensed in the U.S., and they do the initial matching work for you so you can focus on your therapy goals. All you do is fill out a short questionnaire to help identify your needs and preferences. And if you aren't happy with your match, you can switch to a different therapist at any time. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, and it works. They have an average rating of 4.9 out of 5 for a live session. You don't have to be on this journey alone. Find support and have someone with you in therapy. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/justice. That's betterhelp.com/justice. In addition to our father disapproving of Alissa getting close to her new boyfriend, John, he started becoming concerned that she was leaving work to see other boys. And like he had conducted surveillance on Alissa while she stayed with our brothers for the summer, it appears that he began doing the same thing while Alissa was working at Jack in the Box. And our father spoke about this when he was interviewed by ABC 2020 in 2009.
You would have to watch over Alissa to make sure that she didn't put herself in harm's way. And again, she was talking about running away, so monitor phone calls.
Did you go to her place of work?
Oh, I certainly did. I would go there and check to make sure. Once I had suspected she was not being there when she said she was going to be there, I went and checked.
What would you do when you went there?
Just to look at her, to watch where she's working at and make sure everything's okay.
These weren't typical problems.
No, there was far more problems with Alissa, but I
you
didn't look
weren't
at
overreacting. Concerned.
Always concerned.
And I actually found one of these tapes in our piles of home videos. Right before the video of our last Christmas together is about 3 minutes of footage of our father recording Alissa at Jack in the Box. It is dated December 19th, 2000. It's nighttime, and our father is filming the outside of the building, but then focuses on Alissa through the windows. She doesn't notice at first, but when she does, she hides from him and then motions for him to stop. But he doesn't. He continues to film as she is talking to coworkers and wiping down tables, and then she exits the building and says this.
You got me in trouble, Dad.
How'd I do that?
Cause that freaking asshole Mike, he looks and he goes, "That's illegal. He can't do that." And I was like, "That's my dad." Still, there's signs posted all in the office. I was like my dad's gonna do anything. I was like, it's my first job. My dad's video cameraing me. He's like, "So that's illegal. Tell him not to do that." I was like, he's a prick. Hate that guy.
Which one's Mike? The one I was talking to you?
No, the one, I don't know, the one that drives that nice-ass Mustang. Let me drive.
Which one's Mike?
It's kind of a confusing video. I posted it online a few months ago, and people said it was creepy, an invasion of privacy, and parents commented in droves that the way he filmed Alissa was not the way a loving parent does so at a child's first job. And to be fair, our father had already filmed her first day. I was there. We stood in front of the counter while Alissa smiled and flashed her name badge and then quickly became embarrassed of our existence and told us to leave. But my point is that he already filmed the first day, so this video is definitely a part of what he described to ABC 2020 as watching or just looking at her while she worked. But the way she addresses him at the end makes me wonder just how normal this type of behavior seemed to Alissa. I mean, like I said, I thought it was normal too. And when we heard from Jessica earlier, Alissa is not alarmed about the surveillance in her room, but aware and adjusts her behavior accordingly. Did Alissa adapt to our father's behavior, or is this video just not that weird? I encourage you all to find it online, watch it, and tell me what you think. I can't be sure of the date of this next incident, but from what I can gather, this is about when our father once again took Alissa to an isolated desert area and tried to sexually assault her. But this time, she got aggressive, so he left her there for her to walk home. Here's what Jessica remembers.
And I know she'd said something about him taking her out in the desert. There was some inappropriate contact. I don't remember exactly, but I just know that she didn't feel safe in the truck with him, and she got out and walked home, and he just let her because he tried to touch her, and she was like, "Get away from me," and left.
And it appears that Alissa told her boyfriend too, because in his interview with the police, he tells a very similar story.
Dad picked her up early from school one day, driving around. I think the store was pulled over somewhere in an unoccupied area, something like a desert area, and tried fooling around with her, and she got aggressive.
This incident leads me to point to this next transcript of a phone call our father had with his brother-in-law, Lyle. One word is stricken from the document. I will read it as blank, but based on the context, other conversations, and physical space for the word in the report, I'm pretty sure the omitted word is raped. The report reads, incoming call from Lyle Garman answered by Michael Roy Turney. Lyle asks, how did your conversation go last night? Michael Roy Turney begins to talk about Alissa, saying, quote, her emotions are instantaneous, and once it's over, she forgets. She forgets her fears, she forgets her lessons learned. Michael Roy Turney describes Alissa as a, quote, walking time bomb, Lyle. This person could be blank and beat up because it was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and 2 or 3 months later, forget that and be in the same fucking place again. Do you understand that? By this time, our father dominated almost every aspect of Alissa's life. Our father discouraged her from having a relationship with our mother's family, our brother John, her friends, and her boyfriend. And she couldn't even escape at work. But Alissa knew the situation was wrong, and would begin speaking out even more to others about how crazy strict our father was. And Charity and I spoke about this.
They fought, yeah. And I've always said that.
Which is pretty normal, you know. Parents fight with their teenagers. It's pretty normal.
Yeah.
All the things that you were seeing were basically normal things, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't know enough about what emotional abuse looked like.
Right.
Because it was what I grew up with, you know, the surveillance, the rules, like all that. Like I'd seen it, and he didn't do it to me, so I didn't think he was abusive. I thought he was appropriate to the situation,
Right.
which now I know is not appropriate. You do not shame your teenagers into trying to act better like that. It's just not.
And it's not effective, first of all.
Exactly, yeah, and it's not good for them. Like, you're not teaching them a lesson, you're just being a jerk.
No, the only thing you're doing there is beating down their self-esteem. So, you know, that was, I believe, his intention.
Yeah. And what's amazing is that Alissa went from the age of 9, we believe, when she told her teacher that she was having sex with her dad. So this is, 8 years of her being abused like this. But she still never lost her spunk. She never became this withdrawn, sad girl that people were worried about.
No, she was a fighter.
Yeah.
She was like a fighter. I think that she was gaining her confidence. She was gaining her will to fight back. She was gaining her voice. And he could see that coming.
What they did to your family, you're lucky to make it out alive.
Streaming on Peacock.
These men are going to come after me. Taking them out is my only chance.
Put a bullet in her head. From the co-creator of Ozark.
Looks like a family was running drugs.
Execution-style killing, it's rare for the keys. And it leads on who they might have been running for.
The cartel killed my family. I'm gonna kill them. All of them.
MIA. Streaming now. Only on Peacock.
We now find ourselves at the year 2001, and we are going to dive into the timeline of the last 5 months before Alissa disappeared. I'm not saying everything on this timeline is related to Alissa's disappearance, but all of these things caught my attention and could be potential pieces to this puzzle. In January of 2001, our Aunt Lynette receives a phone call from our father. She said he is very upset, fed up with Alissa, and asks Lynette to take her. The police were not able to recover this phone call, but according to our Aunt Lynette, she said she was happy to take Alissa. But about a week later, our father called her back, stating Alissa didn't want to go with her. On February 5th, 2001, our father purchases 50 pounds of lime and 60 pounds of concrete from Home Depot. On February 7th, 2001, our father attends an in-person meeting with Alissa's school to discuss her performance. Our father states that Alissa was not brought to this meeting because when she had previously attended a similar meeting, she, quote, got so upset that she talked about running away for quite some time. He also states that Alissa brought drugs into the home and wants to leave home. He says that Alissa is talking about marriage with the young man she's with, and he mentions Alissa has no career skills and that she's just going to get pregnant. On February 27th, 2001, our father writes a letter to Alissa's school stating, quote, thank you for your patience with my zealous approach to protect my daughter and her rights. On March 5th, 2001, our father has 2 phone conversations regarding Alissa. To one brother, our father states, quote, Alissa and I are attempting this bonding. Maybe she will listen, as long as some people don't bend her ear. Our father is referencing Alissa's boyfriend's family in this conversation as being influential over her. In the second call to a different brother, our father states, quote, good old Alissa, she can sure make it fucked up. Sometimes intentionally, sometimes not. She's stupid. On March 15th, 2001, $800 is deposited into Alyssa's bank account and the slip is signed by our father. On April 3rd, 2001, Alyssa turned 17 years old. On April 5th, 2001, $600 is withdrawn from Alyssa's bank account and the slip is again signed by our father. And do you guys remember Mike with the nice-ass Mustang, Alyssa's coworker from Jack in the Box that she called a prick? Well, it seems that they warmed up to each other, because on April 22nd, 2001, Mike gave Alyssa a ride home from work. He walked her inside, and they ended up making out on our living room couch. And this is when I find out about the camera in our living room vent. My father brought me into his bedroom and played me a videotape. In the picture, you can clearly see the grates of the air conditioning vent, and through the openings, I saw Alyssa and a boy kissing on our couch. I don't remember what my father said to me about it. I just remember that he wanted me to see it. And I only know it was Mike from the police records. And honestly, I didn't think much of it. Our father was always going on about how Alyssa had special needs and how she had to be monitored for her own good. And I already knew that he had spied on her when she was staying with our brothers for the summer. If I could guess my reaction, I'm sure I was just annoyed that he was rambling at me. But our father was very upset about this incident, and he actually goes to Alyssa's boyfriend John and tells him Alyssa is cheating on him. This also sparks the final contract between Alyssa and our father on April 26, 2001. It reads, Mutual agreement between Dad and Alyssa. 1. I will honor the rules of our home in respect for my father and memory of my mother. 2. I will not bring any illegal drugs into our home. 3. I will not allow another person to bring illegal drugs or alcoholic beverages in our home. 4. I will not engage in intercourse or oral sex before 18 years of age. 5. I will not engage in any sexual foreplay amounting to the touching of private parts with a male friend in our home out of respect for my father and memory of our mother's rules. 6. I will make every effort to finish all business and phone calls before 11 p.m. on weeknights, Sunday through Thursday. 7. I will not encourage or keep anything I become aware of that my sister is doing against all of the above Dad's rules from him. 8. I will not give out our phone numbers to any male person without discussing it with my father first. 9. I will not leave work with anyone not already approved by my dad. 10. I will not invite any male friend in our home when my dad is not home. 11. I will not leave our home without telling my dad where I will be, how to get in touch with me, and approximately when I will be back. 12. I will not walk alone after dark. 13. I will get my driver's license. 14. I will respect all safety rules my father has taught me when driving. 15. I will try harder to understand and make allowances for my father's medical condition. 16. I will do my chores and help my dad with the day-to-day cleaning, cooking, and care of our home. 17. I will not get a tattoo or any more body piercings before 18 years of age. 18. I will maintain the excellent habits I have developed relating to my school studies. 19. I will graduate from high school. 20. I will not have any further personal relationship with the male friend I brought into our home this month. 21. Should I violate these rules in our home after I turn 18, I will accept the punishment of leaving our home. I enter into this agreement with my father of my own free will, so there will not be any more misunderstanding about those rules that could cause harm to our family or to me, and what's best for all of our futures. Entered into this agreement on April 26, 2001 with my dad, Michael R. Turney. The contract is apparently signed by both Alyssa and Mike Turney. And then, our father calls our Aunt Lynette again. But this time, the police found the tape. The report reads, This tape is initially blank, but soon a conversation between Alyssa Turney and her maternal Aunt Lynette is overheard. Alyssa is asked if she is pregnant, to which she replies, quote, No, hell no. Alyssa says that her father is flipping out over something that happened. There is later mention of Alyssa having an older male friend in the home as the source of the tension. Alyssa says that her father does not want her to date the 19-year-old male. Alyssa states that she is no longer talking to the boy. Lynette pushes Alyssa, saying that Michael Roy Turney called her about 5 minutes ago, and that Alyssa should explain what provoked the call. Michael Roy Turney is described as freaking out on the phone by Lynette, Michael Roy Turney told Lynette that he needed her to call Alissa and figure out what is going on. Lynette says she's wondering if Michael Roy Turney is drinking. Alissa replies to her and says that her father is not drinking, then adds, quote, "It's my dad. What do you expect?" Alissa continues saying that, quote, "He's always like that." Lynette says that the call from Michael Roy Turney scared her. Michael Roy Turney can be heard in the background telling Alissa to apologize to Lynette on his behalf. Lynette tells Alissa that she can always call and then asks if Alissa has her phone number. Alissa remarks that her father has the number. Lynette also offers, quote, "Alissa, if you ever want to come out and visit me, I'm right here." Lynette then asks to speak with Michael Roy Turney again. Michael Roy Turney then speaks about Alyssa's dating situation, saying that he caught Alissa with a boy on the living room couch. He says, quote, "No, Lynette, in this particular case, they were getting ready to do it. Clothes were off. They were getting ready to do it and I walked in and stopped it." The video mentioned earlier showed no removal of clothing. It is unclear if Michael Roy Turney is exaggerating the scene or if a similar event is being described. Lynette says this is just normal juvenile behavior. Michael Roy Turney remarks that Alissa has come home with marijuana and that Stacy had brought her home passed out drunk. Michael Roy Turney says Alissa talks about going to California and had mentioned running away. He also mentions Alyssa's employment, stating, quote, "She's doing so good at this job. It was the greatest thing for her." He then mentions that Alyssa's current boyfriend, John, was belittling her at school. Mike is concerned that Alissa is proceeding too quickly and may become pregnant or catch a sexually transmitted disease. Lynette remarks that Alissa was acting out following the death of her mother, and Mike responds that Alissa went through 9 months of counseling following her mother's death. He also remarks that Sarah has adjusted well and Alissa has adjusted extremely well. Mike then tells Lynette that Alissa has caused problems with his relationships with women after the death of his wife. He remarks, quote, "Any relationship I would start, Alissa would just come in with a wrecking ball. I don't want you around here, bitch." Mike then mentions again that Alissa speaks of running away often. Mike wants Alissa and Lynette to have a relationship so that if she does run, she runs to Lynette. Mike then speaks of Alyssa's disability to Lynette, mentioning a short-term memory problem. Mike also mentions Alissa as not being able to remember her mistakes. He continues describing girls like Alissa as, quote, "airheads or easies." Mike adds that as a young man, he, quote, "looked for girls like Alissa." It seems that Mike believes Alissa will be targeted as an easy sexual conquest by other males. And Mike adds that, quote, "Alissa has an extremely high sex drive. She likes it. She's gonna want to do it." Mike then goes on to mention his experiences with Child Protective Services. Mike tells Lynette that CPS has a policy in Arizona to separate siblings and to send them to different homes and not with relatives. And then the detective making this report makes a note about how he's been working with Child Protective Services for years and that this is not their policy, and in fact, they do everything within their power to keep siblings together. And then the detective goes on to note, the motivation for this lie is unclear, but likely meant to discourage Lynette from calling CPS in the future. Mike then speaks about Alissa, saying that his no sex in the house rule is what got her boyfriend, that she is now saying I love you to every day. That's what got him banned from the house. Mike says there are very few rules for the girls in the home. Mike mentions that he spends 10 to 1 time with Alissa as compared to Sarah. Mike says Sarah doesn't need much help, but, quote, "Alissa, we do homework every night. We have discussions. Alissa is always getting herself into a situation. I mean, I'm not talking about the petty ones. You're talking about a kid that was asked by another kid to pick up a mushroom out of a yard and eat it, and she did it. You're talking about a kid who was told to take her panties off and let the boys see everything." Lynette theorizes that Alissa is likely having father issues. Mike says, quote, "I call Steve. I actually talked to Steve. I don't know what Steve told you guys. I talked to him on the phone." Steve Strom was contacted about the allegation that he has been in contact with Michael Roy Turney. Strom denied any contact whatsoever. The tape continues with Mike discussing his upbringing and his first experience with love. The tape ends during this conversation. And around the first week of May 2001, Alissa and her boyfriend John talk on the phone, and it appears that all is forgiven because they have the most gushy teenage exchange. It begins with John being irritated that his mom picks up the phone, and Alissa says, "Don't be mean." And then John explains that he has to go eat dinner and has to get off the phone. And then they just have this exchange, and it goes like this. "Kay, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you." And Alissa chimes in and says, "Would your parents let you go to California with me?" And John says, "Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know, probably, they might. I just have to figure out how to get time off work." And then Alissa says, hey, for prom, let's go to the Cheesecake Factory to eat. And then they discuss making reservations, and John again says he has to get off the phone. And Alissa says, I love you. And John says, I love you, call you in 10 minutes. And then again, back and forth, I love you, bye-bye, I love you. I love you, bye. I love you. I love you. I love you. Bye. I love you. Hang up. Bye. Bye. And a few days later, there was another call recorded between Alissa and John. They were laughing, talking about their 6-month anniversary and how prom was only 1 week away. And around May 10th, 2001, Lynette says she talked to our father again. She said that our father was fed up with Alissa, that she was smoking pot and staying out past curfew. Our father then puts Alissa on the phone with Lynette, who told her to follow the rules, but they did not discuss Alissa coming to live with her. And when our father got back on the phone with Lynette, he told her that Alyssa's boyfriend John was beating her, and that John's dad pulled a gun on Alissa, and that while they were on the phone right that second, our father saw John outside of our home looking through one of the windows. On May 14th, 2001, our father purchased 2 items at Walmart, labeled on the receipt as tote box and chemical. May 15th is the last day Alissa went to work. And on the same day, Alissa deposits $10.81 of her paycheck into her bank account and keeps $219 in cash. The bank slip was signed by Alissa, but in the transaction notes it says, quote, parent with child. And on May 17th, 2001, Alissa would go to school, and I would never see her again. Next time on Voices for Justice.
People just disappear like that, out of nowhere, never to be heard from or seen again.
Who are being sexually abused and monitored every second. Now all this surveillance is suddenly missing.
Yeah, there's too many things that, scream that he's involved with this.
And I was like, her dad killed her. I know it.
Yeah.
I know it in the bottom of my heart. And they're just like, oh, you're a drama queen. I'm like, I don't know. There's so many feelings about it because I just know that she would have contacted someone.
That was story 1. Story 2 was.
So, I don't know if I've even told anyone this, but like when she quote unquote ran away.
Voices for Justice is hosted, produced, and edited by me, Sarah Turney. If you want to learn more about Alissa's story and how you can help with the case, visit justiceforalissa.com. And if you love the show, it would really help if you gave me a rating and review in your podcast player. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you next time.
This is a Monday.com ad. The same Monday.com designed for every team. The same Monday.com with built-in AI, scaling your work from day one. The same Monday.com with an easy and intuitive setup. Go to Monday.com and try it for free.